Hello friends, this is my full long-term review of the iPad Pro 2022, and I insist that if you have the iPad Pro 2021, don't buy the iPad Pro 2022. Wait for the iPad Pro 2023, and this is why. It's been 2.5 months since Apple unveiled the iPad Pro 2022. In this video, let's take a look at the iPad Pro 2022 and see if the M2 has made an impression on Apple's iPad range, since that looks to be the only substantial update to the iPad Pro 2022. The new iPad Pro includes a faster M2 CPU and a new Apple Pencil hover capability, firmly establishing it as the best tablet. The iPad Pro 2022 is an excellent all-around tablet with good performance, a nice new Apple Pencil hover feature, and excellent video quality. It is, however, only a minor advance over its predecessor iPad Pro 2021. The iPad Pro 2022 is a fascinating gadget to examine. Because of its sleek design and powerful new M2 CPU, it stands alone as one of the greatest tablets available. This tablet also supports new iPad OS 16 features, including Stage Manager and Apple Pencil Hover. If you're new to iPads or have an older model, the iPad Pro 2022 is an obvious recommendation. However, the M2 chip is the sole substantial hardware upgrade over the iPad Pro 2021. Although it is not a must-have feature for most users, the iPad Pro 2022 is the only tablet that enables Apple Pencil Hover. Unless you really require a little performance boost, it's difficult to justify upgrading from iPad Pro 2021 to the new iPad Pro 2022. The iPad Pro 2022 specifications: the iPad Pro 2022 starts at $1,099, comes with the M2 chip and iPad OS 16, 16 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage, up to 1 TB. The 12.9-inch screen is 2732 x 2048 pixels. Front and rear cameras, 12 megapixels wide f1.8. Up to 4K video at 60 frames per second. Wi-Fi 6E with 5G as an option. 10 hours and 39 minutes of battery life tested. The dimensions are 11.04 by 8.46 by 0.25 inches. Weighs 1.5 pounds for the Wi-Fi model, 1.51 pounds for Wi-Fi cellular model. The 11-inch model retails for $799, while the 12.9-inch model retails for $1,099 as starting price. Let's go through the tablet's primary features, how it varies from last year's model, and finally attempt to help you decide whether Apple's premium tablet is appropriate for you in this iPad Pro 2022 review. iPad Pro 2022 review. Price. Wi-Fi and 5G models are available, with prices starting at $799 and $1,099 for 11 and 12.9-inch sizes, respectively. The 11-inch iPad Pro costs $799 in the US, £899 in the UK, and $1,399 in the AU, while the 12.9-inch iPad Pro costs $1,099 in the US, £1,249 in the UK, and $1,399 in the AU. However, due to their low price, these devices will only support Wi-Fi. The 11-inch iPad Pro with Wi-Fi plus cellular costs $999 in the US, £899 in the UK, and $1,399 in the AU at launch. At launch, the 12-inch Wi-Fi plus cellular model costs $1,299 in the US, £1,429 in the UK, and $2,149 in the AU. It is worth noting that the Apple Pencil 2nd generation, $129, and Magic Keyboard, $349, are sold separately and significantly raise the price. Design analysis of the iPad Pro 2022. The design is identical to the previous year's model. Space gray or silver is available. For a number of hours of use, in terms of design, the iPad Pro 2022 is nearly indistinguishable from the iPad Pro 2021 and iPad Pro 2020. This isn't necessarily a negative thing, considering its small bezels and exquisite machined aluminum casing remain as appealing as ever. Space gray and silver are the only colors offered. Those who expected the iPad Pro to come in as many colors as the new iPad 2022 may be disappointed. The iPad Pro 2022 measures 11.04 x 8.46 x 0.25 inches and weighs 1.5 pounds, the same as last year's model. The Magic Keyboard adds a pound to the weight, which makes it somewhat heavier than the 2.7-pound MacBook Air 2022 and Dell XPS 13 OLED 2022. Even without the keyboard connection, the tablet's light weight makes it easy to carry for lengthy periods of time. Unlike the massive 14-inch Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra, the iPad Pro isn't too enormous for its own good and feels pretty comfortable in my hands. As a consequence, reading experiences on the Marvel Unlimited and Kindle apps were delightful. In terms of buttons and connectivity, nothing has changed. When holding the iPad vertically, like a sheet of paper, there's a button along the top right edge for locking the screen and utilizing Touch ID, 2 volume buttons on the right side, and a single Thunderbolt 4/USB-C connection on the bottom edge. iPad Pro 2022 display. The iPad Pro 2022 has a stunning XDR display. Colors that stand out and a striking contrast, ideal for reading. The 12.9-inch mini LED display on the iPad Pro 2022 is tested and has a resolution of 2732 x 2048 pixels and a refresh rate of up to 120 Hz. That's a lot of screen space for YouTube videos or Netflix programs. When viewing HDR video, the magnificent XDR display improves everything on the screen. Reading novels on the iPad Pro may be just as enjoyable as reading actual books. You can view every detail in each panel or splash page thanks to the high-resolution display. Because the screen is large enough to fit an entire comic book page, you'll seldom, if ever, need to zoom in or spin the tablet to see things well. Overall, the iPad Pro is a fantastic option for reading comic books. The iPad Pro peaks out at 586 nits with adaptive brightness turned off according to our brightness test using a light meter. This is much higher than the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8, 463, but only marginally higher than the iPad Pro 2021, 571 nits. The new iPad Pro's XDR screen, like the iPad Pro 2021, employs local dimming zones to achieve a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. As a result, we investigated how bright smaller portions of the display would become. In our tests, the brightness of 10% and 40% of the iPad Pro 2021's display was 1,409 and 1,577 nits, respectively, while the full-screen HDR brightness was 1,290 nits. Surprisingly, these figures are lower than those of the iPad Pro 2021, 1,582 nits at 10% and 1,251 nits at full-screen HDR brightness, but only by a little margin. The iPad Pro's display covers 117.1% of the sRGB color spectrum and 82.4% of the more demanding DCI-P3 color space in terms of color. These averages are just a tad higher than the 114.9% and 81.4% of the iPad Pro 2021, respectively. The averages for the Galaxy Tab S8, 101.6% and 71.6%, respectively, lag behind. The iPad Pro 2022 got 0.3 in the Delta E test, where lower values indicate more accurate displays, which is less accurate than the iPad 2022's 0.21 result. Audio review of the iPad Pro 2022. Room-filling sound. Like its predecessor, the iPad Pro includes 4 speakers that provide powerful room-filling sound. Trivium's The Phalanx and Feast of Fire sounded almost as well as they would on a real stereo. I say nearly because the bass wasn't quite as thundering as I had hoped. Movie trailers, such as the aforementioned Avatar, Way of Water, and conversational stuff, such as the Waveform podcast, sound wonderful on the iPad Pro. Suffice it to say, the iPad Pro's audio quality will not disappoint. Performance and 5G M2 processor gives zippy performance in the iPad Pro 2022 review. Genshin Impact, for example, runs nicely. The M2 chip is used in the iPad Pro 2022. As a result, it is not surprising that the new tablet outperforms its predecessor. When we used Geekbench 5.4 to assess overall performance, the iPad 2022 scored 1,862 on the single-core test and 8,500 on the multi-core test. In comparison, the M1-powered iPad Pro received 1,722 and 7,298 points, respectively. These stats utterly crushed the Galaxy Tab S8 powered by Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. 1,208 single-core, 3,228 multi-core. This is the current top-tier tablet if you prefer playing games on your iPad. The new iPad Pro took 23 seconds in Adobe Premiere Rush video transcoding test compared to 21 seconds for its predecessor and 22 seconds for the M1-powered iPad Air. It's strange that the M2-powered tablet performs somewhat slower in this test. The 2022 model, like the iPad Pro from last year, offers 5G connection. iPad Pro 2022 camera review. Center stage is still a nice feature on the iPad Pro 2021 with the same cameras. The cameras on the new iPad Pro are identical to those on the previous generation. Depending on your expectations, this might be both a plus and a negative. I don't mind that the front and rear cameras stay unchanged because they both shoot good images. I'm not a fan of snapping selfies with a tablet, but if you must, the iPad Pro's 12-megapixel front-facing camera will ensure you look your best. This is also true while video chatting with coworkers, friends, or family. The 12-megapixel camera on the rear captures good images as well. The front-facing camera does an excellent job. Even on a misty day, the camera produced an incredible photo worthy of hanging on a wall. I can't wrap up this section without addressing center stage. When I do something, the camera automatically pans, crops, and zooms to keep me in the frame. Center stage on your iPad is like having your own personal director. The only disadvantage is that the front camera is positioned on the tablet's short edge. We love a longer camera to facilitate video conferencing, especially with the Magic Keyboard connected to the iPad Pro 2022. The battery life and charging capabilities of the iPad Pro 2022. Long-lasting battery life. In a battery test that included constant web browsing at 150 nits of screen brightness, the iPad Pro 2022 lasted 10 hours and 39 minutes on Wi-Fi. This is somewhat less than the current regular iPad's 10 hours and 57 minutes, but more than the 10 hours and 9 minutes of the iPad Air 2021. Charging durations are fair when using the included 20 watts charger. Charging the iPad Pro to 10% took 15 minutes and charging to 20% took 30 minutes in our tests. This is equivalent to the charging times for the model from the prior year. Review of the iPad Pro 2022 software. iPad OS 16 comes pre-installed. Stage Manager looks great on the large iPad Pro screen. The Apple Pencil's hover function is fantastic. The iPad Pro 2022 comes with iPad OS 16. Now let's want to concentrate on two significant iPad Pro features. Stage Manager works by moving whatever you're working on to the center of your screen and relegating any other open applications to a pile of tiles on the side. Because the tiles are so little, you can focus on your work while keeping an eye on everything else. It's an excellent productivity feature, particularly when used with universal control on your MacBook and iPad to give a dual-screen experience. In Stage Manager, I didn't see any notable differences between the M1-powered iPad Air 2022 and iPad Pro 2022. For the most part, the function works as advertised. I'll need more time to decide whether or not I'll use Stage Manager in the long run. Apple Pencil Hover Preview is also available on the iPad Pro 2022, which is unique to this M2-powered tablet. The iPad Pro can detect the Apple Pencil up to 12 millimeters above the display, allowing you to get a preview of your mark before making it. This feature will also be offered in a few third-party apps. In Procreate, for example, you can see how colors mix together before you lay the pencil tip down. In Pixelmator Pro, you can preview filter alterations on images by hovering the pencil over them. Despite the fact that I adore using the Apple Pencil, I seldom write on the iPad. Writing on tablets with a stylus has come a long way, but it still doesn't feel the same as writing on paper. This function in particular looks to be a curiosity rather than a useful utility. Don't get me wrong, I think it's excellent for creatives, but I'm not sure it'll be useful to the average client. iPad Pro 2022 with Magic Keyboard and Apple Pencil 2. Optional extras are beneficial yet expensive. The Apple Magic Keyboard, $349, and the Apple Pencil 2, $129, are two of my favorite peripherals. The former gives the iPad Pro laptop-like capabilities, while the latter allows you to write or draw on the tablet. The Magic Keyboard's base is sturdy and will keep the tablet in place no matter how hard you type. The floating cantilever design allows you to reach the optimal viewing angle. The keyboard is large enough to let you to type comfortably for hours, and the trackpad is slick and responsive. The trackpad is quick and smooth. The iPad Pro 2022 review, the benefits and drawbacks. The benefits are as follows. Excellent battery life plus 5G works well plus brilliant 12.9-inch XDR display, speedy M2 CPU, and simple Apple Pencil hover preview. Cons. Identical as the iPad Pro 2021 as well as costly accessories. As is always the case, my sole critique of these items is their particular pricing. When you've already spent a lot of money on a tablet, spending an extra $478 before taxes hurts. I'm conflicted about the new iPad Pro 2022. Objectively, it's a well-designed gadget that does everything you'd expect from Apple's premium iPad lineup. Watching video material, playing games, chatting with others, online surfing, writing, sketching, and other activities continue to be as productive as ever. The tablet's M2 processor should also make it very future-proof. It's difficult to criticize the iPad Pro given what it delivers, and it's an excellent choice for anyone looking to get their first Pro model tablet. In contrast, this tablet does not live in a vacuum. If you already have a previous generation iPad Pro, you don't need the new one unless you do a lot of design or video editing. The iPad Air 2022 is an excellent choice for the majority of consumers owing to its superior performance and lower price when compared to the iPad Pro. If you have an older iPad Air or iPad Pro, the iPad Pro 2022 might be the solution you've been looking for. I'm CEO Frimpong, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. I hope to see you again at the next one.